Thank you, Caitlin. Caitlin Clark is finally back on the court playing basketball. As you can see, the roster here. Now, obviously, Caitlin Clark is the most highly anticipated.
It is December 2025. The air outside Duke University's Cameron Indoor Stadium is crisp, but inside the gym, the atmosphere is electric, charged with something far heavier than just a standard practice session.
Caitlin Clark was infamously left off of the 2024 Team USA team in the Paris Olympics. That was a huge controversy. I don't think they'll ever be able to make up for it.
If you look closely at the court, you see the future. You see Caitlin Clark finally back in a jersey, her movement fluid, her arms visibly stronger, knocking down deep threes with that signature release that changed the sport forever.
Before we look at some of these highlights from training camp, I want to share with you guys something that Caitlin Clark had to say.
CBA negotiations, this is the biggest moment the WNBA has ever seen. And obviously I want to help in any way I can, and I tried to educate myself the best I can. Obviously I can't speak to every single.
Like Caitlin says, we're going to fight for everything we deserve, but at the same time, we need to play basketball.
You see Paige Bueckers, the reigning Rookie of the Year, matching her shot for shot. You see Angel Reese wearing a new number but bringing that same undeniable intensity. It looks like paradise for a basketball fan. It looks like the start of a golden age. But if you zoom out, if you look past the sweat and the squeak of sneakers, you realize that this scene is taking place on the edge of a cliff. Because right now, the Women's National Basketball Association is staring down the barrel of the most dangerous moment in its 3-decade history.
It's so funny when you're watching Nate Tibbetts also because he was smiling the entire time. Caitlin Clark off the screen, another three. Her shot looks really good. Caitlin Clark up the court, another three.
We are standing at a convergence point where unprecedented ascendancy meets existential risk. As the calendar turns toward 2026, the league is simultaneously experiencing its greatest commercial boom and its most severe internal fracture. This isn't just a story about basketball. This is a story about labor, about equity, about $1 billion valuation, and about a breakdown in trust that threatens to cancel the 2026 season entirely.
This is the kind of basketball that so many WNBA fans have been missing. Caitlin Clark's signature three, she's dribbling the ball up the court, goes to her left, step back three-pointer.
While Caitlin Clark is trying to knock the rust off her jump shot in Durham, North Carolina, negotiators in boardrooms are locked in a standoff that is described as disheartening and contentious. The clock is ticking, the collective bargaining agreement has expired. And if a deal isn't reached, the doors to the arenas might be padlocked just as the world is ready to tune back in. To understand how we got here, we have to dissect the anatomy of this crisis. This is not a routine negotiation. This is a fundamental battle over the economic soul of the WNBA. On October 31st, 2025, the previous labor agreement expired. That deadline passed without a handshake. Now, the league is operating on borrowed time, with a temporary extension keeping the lights on only through January. But the gap between the players and the owners is a canyon. The weapon on the table is the lockout. It is crucial to understand the difference here. This is not a strike where workers walk off the job. A lockout is a management tool. It is a tactic where the owners bar the players from team facilities, freeze free agency, and effectively shut down the business to force the union to capitulate. It is a nuclear option that has been used in the NBA and the NFL, but never before in the history of the WNBA. And using it now, at this specific moment of growth, feels like playing with fire in a room full of gasoline. Think about the fans. Millions of new eyes have turned to this league in the last 2 years, drawn in by the gravitational pull of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. These are new fans. They don't have decades of loyalty. They are here for the stars. If the 2026 season is canceled because of a bureaucratic fight over revenue percentages, those fans might not wait around. They might just change the channel. The momentum that was built over the record-breaking 2024 and 2025 seasons could evaporate, causing a regression in viewership that could take a decade to repair. So, what are they actually fighting about? It comes down to one simple concept: sharing the wealth. Under the old agreement, the players were getting a raw deal. They received no guaranteed percentage of the total league revenue. Instead, they were only entitled to a 50-50 split of what was called incremental revenue, money that exceeded aggressive, almost unattainable growth targets set by the league. Because of this tricky math, it is estimated that in 2025, the players received less than 7% of the league's total revenue. Let that number sink in. 7%. Compare that to the NBA, where the players are guaranteed roughly 50% of all basketball-related income. The contrast is staggering. Kelsey Plum, the vice president of the Players Association, has been crystal clear about this. She has said repeatedly that they are not asking to be paid what the men get paid. They are asking to be paid the same percentage of the revenue they help generate. They want a slice of the pie that actually reflects the size of the pie. And make no mistake, the pie has gotten massive. The league recently signed a media rights deal worth over $2 billion with Disney, Amazon, and NBC Universal. Franchise valuations are exploding. The Indiana Fever is now valued at an estimated $370 million. The league itself is projected to be worth over $1 billion. The owners are seeing their asset values triple and quadruple, while the players are fighting for salary caps that don't even scratch the surface of that growth. The union's argument is simple. We built this. We are the product. We should share in the equity upside, not just get a cost of living adjustment. But the owners are digging in. Their proposal in late 2025 included a revenue metric share, but the definitions were restrictive. They offered a maximum salary of $1 million for the 2026 season. That sounds like a lot compared to the past, but the players view it as a lowball offer that is totally disconnected from the true value the top stars generate. And then there is the issue of prioritization. This is a massive flashpoint. The owners want strict rules compelling players to prioritize the WNBA over off-season leagues, with severe penalties for late arrivals. They want to professionalize the league, which makes sense on paper, but the landscape has changed. The players now have a weapon they've never had before: options. Enter Unrivaled. This is the domestic 3-on-3 league founded by Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier. It offers high salaries, equity ownership for the players, and amenities that often blow the WNBA out of the water. If the WNBA locks its players out, Unrivaled isn't just a fun off-season tournament anymore. It becomes a competitor. It becomes a haven. If the WNBA cancels the 2026 season, you can bet that the biggest stars will flock to Unrivaled or go overseas, and they will take their fans with them. The owners are trying to force loyalty through rules, but they might end up driving their talent into the arms of a rival that treats them like partners. The atmosphere inside the negotiation room reflects these stakes. Caitlin Clark, who spent most of her rookie season staying quiet on controversial league matters, has finally broken her silence. Speaking from that training camp in Durham, she called this the biggest moment in the history of the league. She admitted that the distance between the two sides was disheartening. When your biggest star, the person responsible for a massive chunk of your revenue growth, is publicly expressing frustration with the process, you have a major problem. The players feel that the league is not negotiating in good faith regarding the Caitlin Clark effect. And we need to quantify that effect because it is not just a buzzword, it is a statistical revolution. In 2024, Caitlin Clark's presence was responsible for more than 25% of the WNBA's total revenue. The Indiana Fever set a single-season home attendance record of over 340,000 fans. League-wide average attendance jumped 318%. Viewership on ESPN was up 170%. Merchandise sales exploded by 673%, with Clark's jersey becoming the best-selling jersey of any athlete in North America, second only to Steph Curry. These aren't incremental gains. This is a paradigm shift. The players look at these numbers and then they look at their paychecks and they see a system that is broken. They see an economic engine that is running at Ferrari speeds while the compensation structure is stuck in a Honda Civic. But let's talk about Caitlin Clark, the athlete, not just the economic asset, because her journey over the last year adds a whole other layer of drama to this situation. The 2025 season was supposed to be her sophomore leap. Instead, it became the lost season. After grinding through her senior year at Iowa and going straight into the WNBA with zero break, her body finally quit on her. It started with a quad strain, then a groin injury, and then on July 15, 2025, against the Connecticut Sun, it all came crashing down. 40 seconds left in the game. She made a bounce pass and immediately grabbed her inner thigh. She collapsed to the bench. The image of her banging her head against the stanchion in sheer frustration became the defining visual of the year. It was the moment the machine broke. The Indiana Fever and Clark made a tough call. They shut her down. No rushing back. No cortisone shots to get through the playoffs. They chose long-term health over short-term gain. For the first time in years, Caitlin Clark had a true offseason. She had 5 months to just be a human being and an athlete in training. During that dark period, the rumors started. We called it Muscle Watch. Reports started leaking out of the Fever's internal sessions that Clark was bulking up. She was hitting the weights. She was armoring her body against the physicality that had worn her down during her rookie year. And when she finally stepped out at Duke in December, the transformation was undeniable. This wasn't the lanky shooter from Iowa anymore. This was a pro. She told reporters she felt back to where she was, maybe even better. She had used the time away to reset mentally, working with a sports psychologist to handle the insane pressure of being the face of a league she couldn't even play in. And now she is back on the court at Duke University, the ground zero for her return. This camp is the first gathering for the 2026 FIBA World Cup cycle. It is a litmus test. Day 1 of camp, she steps into the 5-on-5 scrimmage. There is rust, sure. She misses a few shots she usually makes. She chastises herself. But the movement is there, the vision is there. Coach Kara Lawson said she hadn't missed a beat. For the WNBA and its broadcast partners, that footage was a sigh of relief. The Golden Goose is healthy. The product is ready. But she isn't alone. This camp also signaled a changing of the guard. The veterans were largely absent, leaving the floor to what Paige Buchers calls the young and Turnt core. This is the golden generation. You have Clark. You have Buchers, fresh off her Rookie of the Year campaign. You have Angel Reese. You have Juju Watkins, the next phenom. The dynamic here is fascinating. The media loves to paint Clark and Reese as bitter enemies, a rivalry dating back to the NCAA championship. But at Duke, they were teammates. They were wearing the same colors. Reese, wearing that number 25 jersey, was seen laughing with Clark, running drills together. It dispelled the toxicity. It showed that they can coexist, that they can dominate together for USA basketball. But if the Reese rivalry is cooling down, the Buchers rivalry is heating up. Paige Buchers has arguably closed the gap. While Clark was rehabbing, Buchers was playing. She was winning. There was a moment at the camp that went viral instantly. Buchers hit Clark with a sidestep move into a three-pointer during a scrimmage. It was filthy. It was a statement. It symbolized the challenge awaiting Clark when and if the WNBA season starts. The league didn't stand still while she was gone. The predator has become the prey. This gathering of the young and Turnt core isn't just about basketball chemistry. It is about political alignment. By gathering the league's most marketable young stars in one dorm, USA Basketball inadvertently created a union strong point. Conversations about the disheartening negotiations, about the lockout, about the future, those were happening in the dining halls. If Clark, Reese, and Buchers stand together on a picket line, the owners are in trouble. You cannot win a PR battle against the three most popular faces in the sport. So where do we go from here? The road to 2026 is paved with landmines. The immediate deadline is the FIBA World Cup qualifying tournament in March 2026. Clark needs this tournament to get her game legs back. But if the lockout is in effect in January, everything gets complicated. Insurance issues, contract protections. If the league is shut down, do the players boycott USA Basketball as a leverage tactic? It's unlikely given the patriotism involved, but it is on the table. And then there is the nuclear scenario, a canceled season. If the owners and players cannot bridge this gap, and the 2026 season is wiped out, the consequences will be catastrophic. We are talking about force majeure clauses in sponsorship contracts. Brands like State Farm and Gatorade pay for exposure. No games meant no exposure. They will claw that money back. The media rights deal with Disney could be renegotiated or devalued. And think about the draft. The 2026 draft is supposed to bring in the next wave. But would a college star declare for a league that is locked out? Or would they stay in school earning millions in NIL money or go to Europe? A lockout disrupts the pipeline. But the biggest loss would be momentum. The Caitlin Clark effect relies on visibility. In the fast-paced world of sports media, out of sight is out of mind. Clark missed half of 2020. If she misses 2026, that is nearly 2 years of reduced visibility for the league's biggest icon. You cannot simply press pause on a phenomenon and expect it to resume at full speed 2 years later. The world moves on. This is why we call it the dangerous moment. It is the convergence of three volatile vectors. First, the financial disconnect. The players know the money is there. They see the valuations. The owner's refusal to share it is seen as an insult, not a business necessity. This creates radicalization. Second, the fan base fragility. The new fans are fragile. They are fans of Caitlin, not the institution. If you take Caitlin away, they leave. Third, the competitor threat. Unrivaled is real. It is well-funded. It is player-centric. It makes the WNBA look like a dinosaur. The narrative arc is clear. It is a race against time. The return of Caitlin Clark to the hardwood at Duke is a beacon of hope. Her physical transformation suggests she is ready to destroy the league next year. The integration of this new generation into USA basketball foreshadows a dynasty that could rule the world for a decade. But all of that potential is being held hostage. The WNBA owners and the Players Association are playing a game of chicken, and the collateral damage is the future of the sport. The dangerous moment is the risk that the league, in fighting over how to slice the pie, drops the pie entirely. As we watch the clips of Caitlin Clark hitting threes in an empty gym in Durham, we have to ask ourselves, will we see that on a professional court in 2026? Or will the return of the greatest draw in women's basketball be silenced, not by a torn ligament, but by a padlock on the arena doors? The world is watching, and for the first time, the players have the power to make the owners blink.